What would you do if marrying the city's most notorious disaster became your only escape and your greatest gamble? I stood at the altar in a dress I didn't choose, staring at a man I'd never spoken to, and wondered if hell came wrapped in expensive cologne and bloodshot eyes. Ryan Mitchell swayed slightly beside me, reeking of whiskey at 2 in the afternoon. His platinum hair fell messily across his forehead, his tie hung loose around his neck, and when the priest asked him to repeat his vows, he laughed, actually laughed, like this was all some cosmic joke. My stepmother Linda squeezed my elbow so hard I felt my bones grinding together. "Say yes, Emma," she hissed through her perfect smile, the one she wore for the cameras flashing around us. "Unless you want me to tell everyone what really happened to your father's company." The threat landed like it always did, heavy and suffocating. My father's pharmaceutical empire, the one he'd built from nothing, now sat in Linda's perfectly manicured hands. And my stepsister Madison? She'd already started spreading rumors that I'd been embezzling from the family accounts, setting me up to take the fall for their own theft. This marriage was my punishment and their solution. Ryan Mitchell, heir to the Mitchell crime family's vast underground empire, needed a wife to satisfy some clause in his grandfather's will. I needed protection from a family that wanted to destroy me. "I do," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. Ryan turned to me then, and something flickered in those gray eyes, something sharp and calculating that vanished so quickly I thought I'd imagined it. He lifted the veil from my face with clumsy fingers that somehow felt deliberate, leaned in close enough that I could smell the whiskey on his breath, and whispered, "Play along, Emma Carter. I'm not what they think I am." Then he kissed me, and the world exploded with camera flashes and scandalized gasps. The reception was a circus. Madison held court near the champagne fountain, her red dress cut low enough to scandalize half the guests. She'd always been beautiful, the kind of beauty that made people forgive her cruelty, that made them overlook the venom in her smile. "I can't believe Emma actually went through with it," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Marrying Ryan Mitchell. I mean, we all know he's been kicked out of every club in the city. Papa always said Emma had no standards, but this." I held my smile, the one I'd perfected over 3 years of living with vipers. Corners lifted, eyes bright, nothing reaching the emptiness inside. People expected me to break, to cry, to show them the wound they'd inflicted. I refused to give them the satisfaction. Ryan materialized beside me with a bottle in his hand, stumbling into a server and nearly taking down the entire dessert table. The crowd erupted in laughter. My new husband, ladies and gentlemen, the Mitchell family's greatest embarrassment. But his hand found mine under the table, and he squeezed once. Deliberately. Purposefully. "Play along." The Mitchell estate loomed like a Gothic nightmare on the edge of the city, all dark stone and iron gates. Ryan had passed out in the car, or so I thought, sprawled across the leather seats with his jacket thrown over his face. The driver, an older man named Thomas with kind eyes, helped me out. "Don't judge the young master too harshly, Mrs. Mitchell," he said softly. "Things aren't always what they seem." I didn't understand. Not until Ryan led me through the massive front doors, down a marble hallway, and into his private wing of the house. The moment the doors closed behind us, he straightened. The stumbling walk vanished. The glazed look disappeared from his eyes. He poured the whiskey bottle into the sink without drinking a drop. "You're not drunk," I said stupidly. "Haven't been drunk in 3 years." Ryan pulled off his tie and jacket, revealing a body that was all lean muscle and controlled power. Nothing like the sloppy disaster everyone thought they knew. The Playboy Act keeps certain people from looking too closely at my business operations. Lets them underestimate me. Keeps me alive. I sank into the nearest chair, my mind reeling. "Why tell me?" "Because you're my wife now." He crouched in front of me, those gray eyes suddenly intense, focused. "And because I saw your file, Emma. I know what Linda and Madison have been doing. The embezzlement, the frame job, the way they've been systematically destroying your reputation to steal your father's company." My carefully maintained smile cracked. "You know about that?" "I know everything." His voice dropped lower. "And I'm going to help you take them down." Every single one of them who hurt you. That's my wedding vow to you, the real one. Something in my chest shifted, cracked open. I'd been so alone for so long, fighting a battle I couldn't win, drowning in a family that wanted me erased. And now this stranger, this man everyone called a disaster, was offering me a lifeline. Why? I whispered. Why would you help me? Ryan's hand came up, gentle as he tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His touch sent electricity racing down my spine. Because when I saw your photo in that file, when I read about how you kept fighting even when they'd taken everything, I knew I wanted you in my life. Not because of some contract or family arrangement. Because you're exactly the kind of woman I'd burn the whole world down for. Heat flooded my cheeks. You don't even know me. Then let me learn. His smile was nothing like the sloppy grin he wore for the cameras. This smile was dangerous, predatory, real. Let me show you what happens when someone actually puts you first for once in your life. The first week of our marriage felt like living in a fever dream. In public, Ryan was the same drunken mess. He showed up to family dinners reeking of alcohol, made inappropriate jokes, forgot important meetings. Madison and Linda watched with barely concealed glee, already planning how they'd push me out now that I'd tied myself to the family's greatest shame. But behind closed doors, Ryan transformed. He worked 18-hour days, running the Mitchell family's legitimate businesses with ruthless efficiency. The clubs, the restaurants, the real estate empire, all of it carefully managed, deliberately expanded. He was building something, I realized. Creating power. And he was using it for me. I found the offshore account, he said one night, spreading documents across his desk. We'd fallen into a rhythm, him working late, me bringing coffee, both of us strategizing. Linda's been funneling your father's money into shell corporations for the past 2 years. Madison's been helping her, signing documents in your name. I studied the papers, fury building in my chest. How do we prove it? We don't. Not yet. Ryan leaned back, his shirt sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that made my mouth go dry. First, we let them get comfortable. Let them think they've won. Then we strike. He made it sound simple. But I could see the calculation in his eyes, the way he was building a trap so perfect they'd never see it coming. Ryan, I said softly, why go to all this trouble? You could have married anyone. Someone without all this baggage. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and my breath caught. You think this is trouble? Emma, dealing with your family is the most interesting thing I've done in years. And watching you. His voice dropped. Watching you smile through their cruelty, refusing to break, always finding a way forward. Do you have any idea how extraordinary that is? I ducked my head, unused to being seen this clearly. I'm not extraordinary. I'm just trying to survive. No. He stood, crossing to where I sat. His hand cupped my chin, lifting my face until our eyes met. You're trying to win. There's a difference. And I'm going to make sure you do. The air between us charged with something electric, dangerous. His thumb brushed my lower lip, and I shivered. Emma, he whispered. Tell me to stop. I couldn't. Didn't want to. Instead, I leaned in, closing the distance between us, letting myself want something for the first time in years. His kiss was nothing like the performative one at our wedding. This kiss was fire and promise and hunger. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I melted into him, into this moment, into the impossible feeling of being wanted exactly as I was. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ryan pressed his forehead to mine. I meant what I said. You're first now. Boys. In everything. And God help me, I believed him. Madison made her move at the Mitchell family's monthly gala. I wore midnight blue silk that Ryan had chosen, his eyes darkening with appreciation when I'd emerged from the dressing room. He played his role perfectly, stumbling into the ballroom with a drink in hand, embarrassing his grandfather, making people whisper and point. But his hand never left the small of my back. A constant reminder, I've got you. Madison cornered me near the balcony, her smile sharp as knives. Enjoying your little fantasy, Emma? Playing house with the family drunk. I held my practiced smile. I'm enjoying my marriage, thank you. Please. She laughed, the sound cutting through the music. Everyone knows Ryan's worthless. Grandfather only kept him around out of pity. But you... Her eyes glittered with malice. You actually thought marrying into this family would save you. So pathetic. Something in me snapped. Not visibly, I'd learned better than that. But inside, where I kept all my rage and hurt carefully locked away, a door opened. Madison, I said, my smile never wavering. Do you know what I've learned since marrying Ryan? She raised an eyebrow. That you made a terrible mistake? That people who underestimate others usually do so because they're incapable of depth themselves. I stepped closer, dropping my voice. You see Ryan's act and think it's real because you've never had to be anything other than what you appear to be. You've never had to fight, to hide, to survive. So you can't imagine that anyone else would. Her face flushed angry red. You think you're so smart. I think I'm married to a man who sees me. Really sees me. And that terrifies you because you know, you've always known, that your beauty and your cruelty are all you have. I leaned in conspiratorially. Enjoy spending daddy's money while you can. I hear embezzlement charges carry serious prison time. I walked away before she could respond, my heart hammering. Ryan was there immediately, his stumbling walk covering the distance between us with surprising speed. You okay? He murmured, his breath warm against my ear. Better than okay. I felt powerful for the first time in years. She knows something's wrong. She knows we're coming. Good. His smile was predatory. Let her know. Let her panic. Panicking people make mistakes. That night, when we returned home, Ryan didn't go to his office. Instead, he led me to his bedroom, our bedroom, though we'd been maintaining separate spaces, and closed the door. Emma, he said, his voice rough. I need you to know something. I turned to face him, my pulse racing. What? This act I put on, the drunk playboy. I started it to protect myself. My grandfather has enemies, people who would kill me in a heartbeat if they thought I was worth killing. Being worthless made me worthless to them. Safe. He stepped closer, his hands finding my waist. But it also made me empty. I stopped caring about anything except survival. Stopped letting myself feel. And then I saw your file, saw your picture, read your story, and I felt something for the first time in years. My breath caught. Ryan, I'm falling in love with you, he said simply. Maybe I already have. And it's making me want to be better. Not pretend to be better, actually be better. You make me want to stop hiding. To be the man you deserve. Tears pricked my eyes, but I held them back. You don't have to change for me. I'm not changing for you. His forehead pressed against mine. I'm changing because of you. Because you showed me what strength really looks like. What grace looks like. What refusing to break looks like. His voice dropped to a whisper. You saved me, Emma. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret taking a chance on the family disaster. This time when he kissed me, it felt like a promise. Like coming home. Like everything I'd survived had been leading to this moment. This man, this impossible love. We stayed awake until dawn, talking about everything. His childhood, my father, our dreams, our fears. And when the sun rose over the Mitchell estate, I realized something had shifted. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was starting to live. The trap closed at the board meeting. Ryan had orchestrated it perfectly. Linda and Madison sat at the conference table, confident and smug, ready to vote me out of my father's company entirely. They'd gathered enough proxy votes, forged enough documents. This was supposed to be their triumph. Instead, Ryan walked in, not stumbling, not drunk, completely sober, with a team of lawyers and the FBI. Good morning, he said pleasantly. I'm Ryan Mitchell, and I'd like to discuss some interesting financial irregularities we've discovered. I watched Linda's face drain of color. Watched Madison's confident smile crack and crumble. Watched everything they'd built on lies and theft collapse around them. The evidence was overwhelming. The paper trail meticulous. Ryan had spent 2 months building an airtight case, working with federal prosecutors, ensuring that when we struck, it would be devastating. You, Linda hissed, staring at me with pure hatred. You planned this? No, I said, my smile finally genuine. I survived you. There's a difference. Security escorted them out in handcuffs. The board voted unanimously to restore my position as CEO of Carter Pharmaceuticals. And through it all, Ryan stood beside me, not behind me, not in front of me, but beside me. An equal partner. That night, we celebrated on the estate's terrace, overlooking the city lights. You know everyone's going to realize you're not actually a disaster anymore, I said, leaning against his chest. Probably. His arms tightened around me. Worth it though. I'm done hiding. Done pretending. I want people to know exactly who I am. The man who's completely, desperately in love with Emma Carter Mitchell. I turned in his arms, studying his face in the moonlight. This beautiful, brilliant, damaged man who'd seen past my armor to the real me underneath. Who'd fought for me when no one else would. Who'd shown me that love could be safe, powerful, and real all at once. I love you too, I whispered. My disaster. My salvation. My home. His kiss tasted like victory and promise and forever. Behind us, Thomas cleared his throat. Excuse me, sir. There are some gentlemen here who claim they have business with you. They seem persistent. Ryan sighed. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes. And Thomas? From now on, I take all my meetings sober. Very good, sir. Thomas smiled. About time, if you don't mind me saying. After he left, I raised an eyebrow at Ryan. Business. The Mitchell empire doesn't run itself. He grinned, that dangerous smile I'd come to love. Besides, I have plans. Big plans. Your company needs protecting, and I know some people who owe me favors. Thought we'd expand, maybe acquire a few competitors, establish some strategic partnerships. Using your underworld connections to build a pharmaceutical empire? Using everything at my disposal to protect what's mine. His eyes blazed with intensity. That includes you, your father's legacy, and our future. No one threatens what I love. Not anymore. I should have been alarmed. Should have questioned the morality of it all. Instead, I felt only relief. Only gratitude. Only love for this man who transformed from pretend disaster to real savior. Then go, I said, kissing him one more time. Build your empire. I'll be here when you're done. Our empire, he corrected. Everything I am, everything I have, it's yours. Always has been, from the moment I saw your picture. You just didn't know it yet. He left me on the terrace, surrounded by stars and possibilities. And for the first time since my father died, I felt genuinely, completely happy. The Playboy disaster had become my greatest love story. The forced marriage had become my salvation. And the man everyone thought was worthless had proven to be the most valuable thing in my entire world. Life, I decided, had a funny way of working out. 6 months later. Mrs. Mitchell, the board is ready for you. I smoothed my suit jacket, checking my reflection one last time. CEO of Carter Pharmaceuticals, wife to Ryan Mitchell, and, as of this morning, officially pregnant with our first child. I hadn't told him yet. Wanted to wait for the perfect moment. Ryan stood in the hallway outside the boardroom, looking devastating in a charcoal suit, completely sober, absolutely lethal. He dropped the act entirely now, and the business world had discovered what I'd always known. Ryan Mitchell was brilliant, ruthless, and unstoppable. Ready? He asked, offering his arm. Always. We walked into the boardroom together, partners in every sense of the word. The presentation went flawlessly. Our expansion plans, our new research initiatives, our strategic partnerships with the Mitchell family's legitimate holdings. Carter Pharmaceuticals was thriving, stronger than ever under my leadership and Ryan's protection. Afterward, in the car heading home, I finally told him, I'm pregnant. The car swerved slightly. Ryan's face went through a dozen emotions in 3 seconds flat. Shock, joy, terror, wonder. Pregnant, he repeated. We're having a baby. We're having a baby, I confirmed, suddenly nervous. I know we didn't plan. He kissed me breathless, his hands gentle on my face, his eyes shining. We're having a baby. God, Emma. Another person to love. Another person to protect. Another reason to be better every single day. I melted into him, feeling safe and cherished and completely, utterly loved. What would you have done, I asked softly, if I'd said no that day at the altar? Ryan thought about it. Found another way to meet you. Convinced you I was worth knowing. Fought for you anyway. Some things are inevitable, Emma. You and me? We were always going to find each other. The universe just decided to make it interesting. Outside, the city sparkled with evening lights. Inside the car, we held each other close, two people who'd been broken and lost and had somehow found each other in the chaos. The Mafia playboy with deadly secrets and the woman who'd survived hell to find heaven. Our story had started with a question: what would you do? I'd done the only thing possible. I'd taken the gamble. Married the disaster. Fallen in love with the man behind the mask. And I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.